Hey, Luminary, it's Leslie Tagorda, brand astrologer here to tell you all about this new moon in Gemini so that you can get over your scatterbrain overthinking and tune into your star powered voice that engages, calls in your people, and shares your wisdom with the world. In today's episode, I want to talk about this Gemini new moon and how to get past all of the squirrely shadows of Gemini to get to your one of a kind star powered voice. I'll also be sharing some of the natal aspects with Saturn and Neptune happening at this new moon. Then, of course, we'll go into new moon personalizations where you can check what house is being activated in your natal chart to get to the root of that intention you're meant to plant. And then I'll be also offering some deep reflection questions for you so that you can get into the heart of what your star power voice is here to say and maybe what is preventing you from saying it. Welcome to Star Powered Astrology for Changemakers. I'm Leslie Tagorda, your guide, a Hawaii-born Filipino Jewish astrologer who loves navigating visionaries like you through the spiritual journey of your work so that you can be inspired to lead by your chart and become the luminary leader you were born to be. Hello, Luminary. Oh my gosh, it feels like it's been quite a while since I've dropped an episode. You know me, fits and starts here. But one thing is for sure, I'll always be back. Well, I've been really busy the last few weeks. Actually, it's just kind of over capacity, but so because just so many things are absolutely coming through. In Star Powered Circle, my lovely community, I've been really busy with the group delivering on Star Powered Voice. It's the second quarter's astrology based intensive where we are uncovering our brand voice, the brand personality and vibe that needs to come through, our values, our results of transformation, that life changing promise, all of our purpose, our mission, our vision. What else are we covering? It's a lot. But I wanted to give everything to my people so that they could really feel confident in what they were saying, that one of a kind voice, not only what they were saying and their message, but also how they were saying that. And yes, indeed, I can see this in everybody's charts. There are definitely individual astrology keys that you can tap into to tune into and amplify that create your one of a kind brand voice. Now, I purposefully scheduled Star Powered Voice to be in Gemini season. And you know what? Writing is not easy. Getting clear with your message, getting clear with your values and your purpose and your mission and your vision. All of those things take a lot of big thinking and big reflection. So even though I wanted to put this in Gemini season, right? All of the shadows of Gemini are ultimately also coming through because as much as people love this content in Star Powered Voice, there is a lot of the creepy crawly shadows that come through around overthinking. Do I have anything valuable to say? Do I really have to sit here and reflect and get really vulnerable with myself in order to be able to get to my message? And all of those things, indeed, getting through those shadows of Gemini, right? Now, you already know that Gemini is like absolutely one of the most judged judge signs in the zodiac. I feel like Gemini and Scorpio get a win for that. Gemini often being accused of being two-faced or scattered or all over the place. But when we really see that as the gift of Gemini, to be able to see so many perspectives and to be able to bring in all of these ideas and cross-pollinate and share, of course, we rely on Gemini to have that wonderful breadth of wide knowledge. Now, that's why star powered voice really comes in handy because while I cannot help anybody commit to sitting down and writing daily to create a writing practice or a ritual, and while I cannot commit to it, teaching how to write in this beautiful stylistic edited style, what I can commit to in helping people do in star powered voice is to cut through all of the options and the overthinking and the scatteredness of Gemini to be able to focus in on different archetypal energies based on different zodiacs and planets of the different things that need to be amplified in star powered voice. I'm not going to be sharing that here today because a couple of episodes ago, I talked about what the star powered voice is, and I dropped a few of those star powered voice keys. But I just wanted to share that, oh my goodness, yes, writing is hard. And in order to really get to your star powered voice, is to tune in to kind of cut through all of the different options, tune into those keys that you need to amplify. But more importantly, it's about sitting there and reflecting and looking inward. And I know that can be so hard, that sometimes we just want astrology to give us the answers. And astrology takes a little bit of interpretation and reflection, but it definitely points you to the into that right direction. So, I wanted to talk about this upcoming new moon because this is your chance to kind of dust off all of the places and shift those energies on where you might be feeling stuck in connecting to your star powered voice and then getting clear on what you want to intend and clarify in creating your voice, that valuable messaging in your leadership and your change making work. Now, before I get into everything about this new moon so that you can get clear on and clarify your intentions for this new moon in Gemini, I wanted to share I have decided um, to put together this passion project that has been coming through and bubbling forth, and the time was now. It's about damn time. Well, most of you already know how much I absolutely love Lizzo. I love her because she is such an amazing role model, and she really has in her heart how she wants to change the world and by being a confident role model. She's an amazing musician. I love that she grew up as a flute playing band geek. I love that she is a full bodied person that unapologetically loves herself and loves her body. And I love her so much that, of course, I went on a quest to go look at her natal chart and see how she's expressing her own star powers in her change making work. And for sure, she is a change maker. She is a role model like we have never seen before. Oh my goodness, I wish I had a role model like Lizzo. Well, as I was going through her chart and as I was also planning out the curriculum for quarter 3 in Star Powered Circle, we'll be putting together Star Powered Style. So, not just your visual brand, but yes, your visual identity, all the symbols and the colors that you need to amplify according to your stars. But more importantly, your creative process, that one of a kind way that you do things that you can really hone into and how do I want to say, and galvanize as your star powered style, part of your intellectual property. Now, as I've been kind of watching Lizzo and her career and enjoying and loving her music and watching her amazing Amazon Prime 8-part series called Watch Out for the Big Girls. It's kind of like this reality TV show where she's selecting her big bodied backup dancers. She's looking for like star power and all of this stuff. As she's going through these 8 episodes, She's basically sharing her creative process with us. And I'm absolutely fascinated how people get to, especially people who are masters in whatever they do. I love seeing what their style is and how they figure out their problems and what drives them and what sparks their creativity and their big why. That's the things that really light me up. And so as I was going through Lizzo's natal chart and watching and doing kind of a case study in my own head about how her creative style shows up in her natal chart, I was like, oh my gosh, I really want to share this with you, with my people. And I was like, okay, I don't have time in my schedule right now. How am I going to do this? And I was talking to my business coach and I was talking to Jeff, my right hand man. I was like, how can we make this happen? Because I feel like it's about damn time. So everybody, clear out your schedule because I'm putting together a free masterclass called It's About Damn Time. And this is going to be happening next week on summer solstice. Well, the solstice for us here in the Northern Hemisphere on Wednesday, June 21st at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. A free 1 hour masterclass all about Lizzo and her creative juice. What makes Lizzo so damn special? How she really brings forth her star powered style and creative juice, and how you too can be able to connect the dots in your natal chart to come up with your own star powered style, that creative juice, that way of being, and just how you shine so brightly. All right. So if you are interested in joining me in this free masterclass, do know that I'll be offering it live and there will be a replay available for 24 hours. And I'll also be sharing the replay on this podcast. So if you can't make it live, don't worry, I'll be repurposing it on this podcast so you'll be able to still hear it. But if you want to ask your questions and talk about your natal chart and just participate with me live, then I want you to head on over to starpowered.com/Lizzo, Lizzo, and register for your free spot in my upcoming masterclass on solstice. It is going to be good as hell. Sorry, I just can't help it. I just like Lizzo so much. And her words are just so perfect. All right. So let's get into this new moon on in Gemini. All right. So new moon in Gemini happens on Saturday, June 17th or Sunday, June 18th, depending where in this world that you live. In Pacific time, it happens on Saturday evening, June 17th at 9:37 p.m. and Sunday morning, June 18th at 12:37 a.m. And this beautiful Gemini new moon happens at 26 degrees of Gemini. Okay, so hopefully you did a little bit of clearing with our last full moon a couple of weeks ago in Sagittarius, because remember that full moon in Sagittarius, that opposite Sagittarius being the polar opposite of Gemini, that full moon in Sagittarius allowed us to clear out all of those limiting self-beliefs and all of that crazy mindset that prevent us from speaking our truth. Now, this new moon in Gemini, I'm calling it easeful, engaging dialogue, thanks to both Neptune and Saturn that are in aspect with this new moon. And so, the biggest question that you are here to answer when you're putting together your new moon ritual is, what do you want your change making message to convey? Yes, that is really what your voice is about, your change making message. Now, I suppose that if you are listening, you are a change maker. And if you're a change maker, you have a message that expresses your needs, shares your wisdom to your people, and gives voice to those winds of change. This new moon in Gemini, ruled by Mercury in its home sign of Gemini, is aiming fast forward towards the future. This new moon is your chance to be that messenger, to spread your ideas wide, to get people talking about what's coming, to unify your communities with your magnetic personality and vibe. You need your voice to share your work, to inform your people, and to inspire your community through your values, your purpose, your mission, and your vision. Now, your brand voice is more than the words you share, but also the vibe of your star charted brand personality. Your brand voice speaks through the filter of your brand leadership, your values, and your impact you want to make on the world through your change making work. Your brand voice integrates your power words and brand personality to tell your story in a way that captivates and connects you to those you are born to serve. It's time to turn up and fine tune your voice, your message, your calls to action so you can be heard, understood, and share your wisdom with the world. May this new moon in Gemini, you plant the seeds to channeling your engaging star powered voice. Now, I wrote that for my email newsletter a couple of weeks ago, but I thought it was really, still to me, it feels so powerful. And I know there's a lot of ideas shared in such a small part. So it can be like really dense. And our star powered voice is to really make that time to get really clear on all of those pieces, on all of those little bits and bits and pieces that create your story, your message. Because the more you amplify your message and your voice, the more you're able to call in your soul opportunities and spark that change. Now, this astrology of this new moon, we have that new moon, both the sun and the moon connecting in Gemini of 26 degrees, and it's squaring with Neptune in Pisces, hanging out at I think it's 27 degrees. Neptune's hanging out in Pisces. Now, when we have Neptune, who loves to blend things all together. And sometimes Neptune doesn't make things super clear. Neptune has a chance to maybe disillusion or confuse a little bit. And then, the new moon Gemini is trying to be as clear as possible. So how do we really work with that square off with Neptune, who wants to blend everything, and that new moon? Well, what I was noticing in the client charts that I was running to give them their new moon readings was, and especially also thinking back to the challenges of the participants in Star Powered Voice and just getting clear with their message, is that oftentimes we are really overthinking instead of sitting in and going inward and reflecting. And so Neptune in Pisces is asking us a couple of things. First of all, Neptune in Pisces is saying, hello, intuition, I'm right here. I'm waiting for you to ask me what it is that needs to come through in your message. I've shared before on this podcast that, in the last few years, I've really learned to trust my intuition and open up my channel and invite spirit to speak through me in my work so that we are best able to serve our listeners and participants. And so one way to really harness that Neptune in Pisces with this new moon is to simply let go of all of that hard work that writing needs to be. Yes, it needs to be a practice, meaning to come back to it daily and iterate over and over again until you get into a hang of things. But Neptune in Pisces also says, let's make it easy and in flow and trust in your intuition. Now, for your outside voice, for the messaging that faces outward to call into your people, the other thing that you also want to talk about, think about with your message is setting the intention of how you want to use your message and your voice to unify and bring in your soul communities. Remember that Neptune, ruler of Pisces, in Pisces, is not just about blending in, but it's about showing all that interconnectedness, how we are all one. So thinking about your intention, is to simply say, I would like to fall into, or I'd like to receive my clear voice that unifies my community. So I want you to think about that, how you can start to use Neptune in your intention to either bring more flow into your writing practice or to channel your intuition with clarity to get to the heart of your message, or to create a message that unifies your soul folks. Okay, now also happening at this new moon in Gemini is that Saturn, a few hours before this new moon, stations in its annual retrograde motion. And so, again, station, remember, station means just coming to a complete stop before it shifts gears. Now, Saturn stations to go retrograde a few hours before that new moon, but it still hasn't really picked up to go backwards yet. It's not moving, it's come to a complete stop. When Saturn is involved and at a complete stop, you can bet that Saturn is putting on the pressure. You can think of Saturn as like a big, in Saturn in Pisces as kind of like a big pressure cooker where things are bubbling and like that pressure is increasing the heat that allows that water to boil. But really, in that pressure is what is happening is that it's coming together and it's contracting and it's really focusing, right? And so when we have Saturn with something like a new moon in Gemini, when we're thinking about our voice, that voice is saying, okay, how can I get to the point? Short and sweet. Yes, I hear you. I'm not so good at getting to the point. Maybe that's what I'll be putting in my own new moon intention. But if you happen to be that way also, right? Like taking 10 minutes to explain like a really short concept, part of Saturn stationing retrograde is really imbuing your intention with your voice to speak with ease, simplicity, focus, and conciseness. Okay. So these are the things that I want you to think about when you're calling in this new moon intention for how you want to use your star powered voice in your change making work, right? So Neptune, how will you use your intuition? How will you make your writing practice more easy? And how will your message unify your community? And then Saturn, how will your message be spoken with ease, simplicity, focus, and conciseness? Now, before we go into the personalizations, I want to offer you some deep dive reflection questions. Okay. And one of the things I've been really exploring this year with these new moon intentions is not just about like, what do we want to create? Right. I've been also looking back at some of the shadow questions about the things that I want to clear out or shift. I know that's mostly like a full moon thing, but I'm really a true believer that if I'm not super vulnerable with what I want, meaning like, why haven't I got it? Why, like, what have I been doing that I haven't been sharing, where I've been holding myself back? Like, I really want to look at these shadow questions and in order for me to get to a more powerful outward result. So, because this is Gemini, some of these shadow questions, especially when you come to your message, right? Like thinking about like, okay, maybe I want a message to unify. I want a message that calls in my soul people. I want a message that like brings in all of my clients so that I can fill my coffers, right? But then why haven't you already done that? Right. So looking at these shadow questions inform what you want. So some of these shadow questions that maybe you can kind of reflect on for yourself is as you think about like what kind of new moon intention you want to create for your Gemini message is where have you felt your voice doesn't matter? Right. I know I've felt so many times, especially as a projector, where I'm just coming up and trying to make conversation and nobody wants to listen to me. And it kind of sucks and it hurts my feelings. I've learned by now that I just have to kind of sit back and wait for that invitation. And when that invitation is there, then people actually listen to me. And so, really cueing into have you ever felt like your voice doesn't matter? What does that feel like? Okay. And or maybe where have you felt misunderstood and unheard? Maybe in relationships or in work situations. So by understanding where you felt misunderstood and unheard gives you the information. Like for example, like if you're feeling like your partner, your romantic partner always talks over you or doesn't listen to you or your kids don't listen to you or things like that. I'm projecting here. then in your intention, it can simply be, I'm heard and understood by the people that are closest to me. See how we can just kind of flip the script there by understanding these shadows? Next, the shadow question was, where have you felt angry or hurt by things left unsaid? Like, where have you bit your tongue and not said things that you needed to say? That will give you information on the things that you need to stand up and say. Or where have you felt accused of saying too much? Right? Maybe, like I was saying earlier, maybe people think that I speak up too much because they didn't invite me to say anything, or attacked for speaking up, right? So those accusations or those attacks that it is safe for me to speak up. It is safe for me to speak my mind. And lastly, the last shadow reflection question I have is, where have you felt not enough because of your unique perspective? And this is something personally for me that I've been going through as I want to bring astrology more out into the mainstream. And I know that not everybody believes my perspective, and I'm very guarded with who I talk about astrology to, especially like when I meet new people or I'm in like different groups of people that I don't know. I often really don't share my expertise because my perspective can be so left field. I really felt that a couple of like this last week when I was in Oklahoma, of all places, visiting my in-laws. I did not once talk about anything that I did because I did not feel that my perspective would be met with open hearts or open minds. So thinking about those shadow questions should give you a lot of information of what you truly want. And so to the other side of that coin, here are some additional questions that you might want to ask yourself as you're putting together this kind of vision, this intention for this star powered voice you want to create. So, some of these questions: how do you want to feel when sharing your message? Right? Oftentimes, our intentions, when we can attach those feelings to those messages, then we know when we're on the right track, when we are tapping into those feelings. This other one, because your message is so important to share information and to call in your people, how do you want your message to make others feel? Super important when you're creating your brand vibe is to really understand how you want to make your soul people feel. Who do you want to hear your message? Because you know what? Your message isn't for everybody, right? Knowing when to not speak up, knowing when to speak up, knowing who you want to have hear your message, really important to get down. What action do you want people to take when they hear your message and your voice? Maybe you already have a message, but maybe it's not hitting home. Maybe it's not amplifying. Maybe it's not going far. So, what do you think needs to change about your message? Or what new truth have you discovered that you haven't yet added to your message? So, thinking about all those changes, even if it's not super clear, like, I don't know, like social media, I haven't been getting very many likes lately. I don't know exactly yet what needs to change. I can simply say that I want to change my message so that it reaches more people. And it's totally okay to have those big kind of grandiose intentions in, and let your intention be free so spirit can help you in the way that you are meant to be served. And lastly, what do you imagine being seen, heard, and understood feels like? So that goes right back to that very first question. How do you want to feel when sharing your message? So just imagine being seen fully, being heard and understood for all your truth. What would that feel like for you? So those are some really powerful questions as you get to the intention for this upcoming Gemini new moon. Okay, time to personalize your new moon. So remember, I absolutely love doing new moon rituals. You can go back to previous podcasts where I offer tips on how to put together a new moon ritual. And if you know how to read your natal chart, meaning you know how to find that 26 degrees of Gemini, you can personalize your new moon by finding the house Remember, those houses are those little pie pieces of your natal chart. Finding the house that contains that 26 degrees of Gemini, because that house that contains that 26 degrees of Gemini is the house, the area of your life and your work that requests a fresh Gemini intention. All right. So if you're an Aries, and I write these for the rising signs, if you don't actually know, just use your intuition. But if you do know, if you're an Aries rising or have your third house activating, you're here to plant your seeds and contribute your powerful voice and values aligned message through your teachings that spread your ahead of time ideas. If you're a Taurus rising or have a second house activation, you are planting the seeds for your star powered voice through your curiosity driven values and investments. Really, if you have that second house activation, your thoughts, your voice add to your value. If you're a Gemini rising or have a first house activation, today you are planting the seeds to contribute your powerful voice and values aligned message through your change making role that leads with curiosity. If you're a Cancer rising or have a 12th house activation, you're planting the seeds for your star powered message through your behind the scenes philanthropy and activism. Make your voice known by where you contribute your dollars. If you're a Leo rising or have that special 11th house activation, today, this Gemini new moon, you're planting the seeds to contribute your powerful message through your social mission oriented community and collective. This is about using your message to bring in your people. If you're Virgo rising or have a 10th house activation, this is a really busy time for you because today you're planting the seeds to contribute your powerful message through your delivery of clear voice activating offers and expertise. So really, what are you doing here and now to deliver on your ultimate mission and really create that reputation that precedes you? If you're a Libra rising or have a 9th house activation for this new moon, you are planting the seeds for your powerful message through your purpose that expands you and your trailblazers' inspiration. So dive into your brand purpose. If you're a Scorpio rising or have an 8th house activation, for this Gemini new moon, you're planting the seeds to contribute your powerful message through your deep healing and mindset transformation. Ooh, that feels good. Using your words and using your mind to heal. If you're Sagittarius rising or have that 7th house activation, you are planting the seeds to contribute your powerful voice and message through your committed partnerships, your co-creators, and partners. So use your message to call in your aligned partners. If you're Capricorn rising or have a 6th house activation, you are planting the seeds to contribute your powerful message through your learning oriented, strategic daily processes. So if you're Capricorn rising, I highly suggest creating a writing practice, a daily writing practice, and creating a system around that. If you're Aquarius rising or have a 5th house activation, this will be a fun one for you. Today, you're planting the seeds for your powerful message through your heart-centered passion projects that cultivate joy. So maybe it's time to take up some creative writing and write that novel you always wanted. If you're Pisces rising or have a 4th house activation, today you're planting the seeds to contribute your powerful voice and message through your sacred spaces for yourself and your selected community. Use your voice in your most deep and intimate communities. Well, my friends, I hope that you enjoyed learning all about this upcoming Gemini new moon, and I hope that you're able to create a beautiful intention to get clear on your star-powered message and voice. Now, remember, I'll be offering a free masterclass on the day of the solstice, June 21st, 2023, all about Lizzo and her star-powered creative juice. We'll be doing a case study of Lizzo's rectified natal chart and really connecting the dots on how she uses her star power in her change making work and giving you the tips and the tricks so that you can connect your dots and shine bright like the luminary you were born to be. So if this is you, head on over to starpower.com/Lizzo, Lizzo, and sign up for my free masterclass. I'm really looking forward to spending time with you. I'll see you live on Zoom on the solstice. Happy new moon.
As a human design projector, my energy shines more brightly because of people like you who share my work. If you enjoy this podcast and want to help build a movement of innovative astrology and leadership and spark the intuitive revolution, please rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, or better yet, share this podcast with your change-making besties. We will all shine brighter together as we create the future we want to see.